Okay, we are back. And as you can see, we are in town. I believe my last recording had this where we first come into the new act and we are picking up all of our side quests and just main general quests, as well as combing through everything and sorting everything out. Congratulations, you have finally made it here. Now we are going to go through the old fields. So the general idea that I've been pushing this far, outside of just learning potential different things through the campaign in terms of things that you can and cannot do, and things to look forward to and things to change, is really just moving through the game and getting to the end of campaign. A large portion, I think, that you will probably see in terms of trouble with the campaign comes much later on. So whatever it is you build, whatever it is you're doing, you will figure out what feels like pretty good synergy, what does not, and if you do end up hitting a wall, instead of starting over and creating a completely different character, maybe try swapping out some gear or abilities, gems, anything of that sort, and seeing if you can find something else that fits a little bit better. And if not, maybe just keep playing through with what you're playing through until you find pieces of gear that you think make you feel stronger overall. At this point, we are following a side quest where we have to kill the Great White Beast. And so we were in the den in the old fields, and now we are running right back out to get some things handled. So we're just clearing things left and right. I'm picking up whatever gear I can find that I think will be more beneficial. For me personally, this is my first character for this league, so I do not have a lot of different ones to try out. I do not have a bunch of different builds to try out. This is essentially my introduction to this league, and I figured it would be fun to record my experience. That way I would be able to share it with anybody else who may have never really played the game and would want to see in general how it looks. So my game plan you've probably already seen in all of the other videos, but just in general, I feel like your accessories can be pretty helpful in terms of gear through campaign. So I focus on belts a lot, I focus on amulets, and I focus on rings. If I find any kind of gear that might have a stat that's more beneficial to me or for me, then I will pick it up and rush to use it. But other than that, I am looking for those main items in terms of things to wear. As you can see, I hit this waypoint down here, and I keep moving because I want to get as many waypoints as possible, as well as anything that could be more beneficial to me. Personally, I feel like your general playstyle for a lot of playstyles don't really come to life in campaign until about level 30. So up until that point, you are running around, you are knocking things down. See, now we're going to the broken bridge. We are hitting as many waypoints as we possibly can. Here we talk to Einhart, and we are just making our way through. So here we are cutting everything down. Einhart, I believe I spoke about this in an earlier video, but just in case I did not, Einhart ends up offering these creatures that are special and have the possibility of creating something much later on in the game if you decide to follow his side quest storyline. I believe in this gameplay we don't. My main goal is to get to the end of campaign, not necessarily as fast as possible, but following whatever it is I personally want to do, and not some build that I saw some YouTuber or somebody take part in. There was an earlier time where I was recording a video for this specific part, and I cannot recall if it ever actually got uploaded. One of the last parts I saw was us making it into the new act, so I decided to just continue on from that point. So if things seem a little deja vu-ish or too familiar, then by all means feel free to skip up to whatever point you feel like is new footage. At this point in my skill tree, I started out building towards minions and building towards extra things that I feel like would be super beneficial, because I want to go a necromancer type build. I want to play someone who summons zombies and skeletons and things to help me survive and to fight for me. I don't usually play builds like that. I have not really looked up much of any kind of build like that for this league yet, and I probably won't for a while, because to be honest, a lot of these builds usually do not work during campaign. They're more so aimed to be played after campaign. Most builds that you will find that people will use in campaign are called leveling builds, and they are just builds that you use in order to level up quickly, regardless of if you like the way that playstyle feels or not, because the general idea is you use that build to get to the end of the game, and then you swap over to a completely different build to play what it is you actually want to play. But I figured I would approach this league this season with something I'm just throwing at the wall, super basic, see what it is I can find, what it is I can make, and show my progress and my thought process while doing it all. In this part, as of right now, I am currently sitting still in the skill tree menu, because I probably got up to go do something, and instead of just cutting out this extra footage, I decided to leave it here. If not, then I probably tabbed over to a browser in order to look up what certain things mean in a game. Unfortunately, in Path of Exile 1 compared to Path of Exile 2, in Path of Exile 1, you will get things that will be said in your gear or your abilities or your skill tree, and there will not be a super like straightforward answer to what these things can do or what they mean. And if you have a question like, oh well, I wonder what this is, or I wonder how this works, or I wonder, if you start finding yourself wondering things like that and asking questions like that, I think your best bet is to pull out your phone, or if you're playing on a computer, go to your browser and type in Path of Exile and then whatever the name it is of whatever it is you see that you want to find out. One of the comments I mentioned before was that I had a skill point that gave me Unholy Might. It gave it to my minions, and I had no idea what Unholy Might was because I never really used it. While looking it up, I found out that Unholy Might is essentially the ability for you or your minions or whatever it is that the skill says it will apply to, but it essentially is the ability to do chaos damage. And chaos damage is essentially poison in this game. It's not outright poison. It doesn't, I guess, always mean poison, but it's essentially poison, a type of damage that when you hit an enemy with it, it happens over time and will bypass other like damage defenses because it's just universally crazy. And I could have used it, but I decided at this current moment I don't really want Unholy Might. I don't really want to be fighting with poison right now. I just want to fight with what I want, and I decided to go the lightning setup because in Path of Exile 2, for like the first time ever, I started using different lightning spells, and I wanted to see how they felt and what they looked like and things of that nature, and thought, oh wow, these are pretty fun. These are fairly strong. Let me see how they feel in Path of Exile 1. And as you can see, it actually would be a lot stronger if I was building towards lightning damage as well as spell damage. But right now my skill tree is building towards minion damage and my gear is building towards spell damage. As I've said before, minions are seen as spells, so if I put more bonuses into spell damage, I'm technically putting more bonuses into my overall minion damage until I can find a way to get gear that flat out gives me minion damage. As you saw, I was fighting a monster that had a red icon on my map. That would be another monster from Einhart. That one is the hardest one in the map. That one took forever to kill because it had Life Leech. If you saw under its name, it had a few red words underneath it, and each one decides or determines what it is that creature can do. If for whatever reason you don't know what something means and you see those words, you can pause the game, because you can actually pause the game. And when you pause the game, go to Google and look up Path of Exile Life Leech, or Path of Exile whatever's grip, or Path of Exile whatever, if you're ever curious and you are unsure of what it does. Because in this case, Life Leech essentially makes it so that, as you probably would expect, every time the enemy hits you, or if you have it, every time you hit the enemy, you get a portion of your life back. So that enemy took forever to kill because I'm hitting it, my minions are hitting it, the enemy is hitting either me and or my minions, and the enemy is healing from it. I think I managed to kill it because I think it was actually healing more so off of me than it was my minions. My minions were able to pull the aggressiveness from it.